Imagine you are lying in bed, in a room that is very dark. The darkness is not the kind you might know from a modern city, where a street lamp's orange glow always bleeds through the gap in the curtains. This is a true, deep, ancient darkness, like the inside of a closed hand. The air is cool and smells of mud brick and dry straw, with a faint sour note from the clay jars that hold the household's water and beer. Somewhere a dog shifts in its sleep, and you hear the soft scuff of its claws on packed earth. Outside, the stars are still sharp and bright, because there is not a single electric light for 100 miles in any direction. This is the world before the dawn, the hour that the Sumerians called the time of the first dream, when the night is at its heaviest, and the day has not yet decided to arrive. You are not a king, not a priest, not a farmer. You are a scribe, and your name, if you are a man of some standing, might be written with the signs for servant and temple and writing. But right now, you are simply a figure curled on a reed mat, wrapped in a thin woolen blanket that smells of sheep and of your own sleep. Your hand rests beside your head, and your fingers are stained with black ink that never quite washes away, no matter how much you scrub them with sand and water. Those stains are your badge of office, as sure as a soldier's scars. They speak of long hours spent leaning over damp clay, pressing a wedge-shaped reed into the soft surface, making marks that hold the weight of a whole civilization. But you are not yet at work. The night is still here, and the lamp has not been lit. The room is silent, except for the breathing of your family, the rustle of a mouse in the wall, the distant howl of a jackal out on the plain. You lie there, suspended between two worlds, and you know that in a few moments a hand will shake your shoulder, or a voice will whisper your name, and you will have to leave this warm cocoon and walk through the cold courtyard to the temple. It is a life of discipline, of routine, of rising before the sun. And because you are a scribe, you will do it without complaint, or at least without complaint that anyone can hear, unless it is a very quiet mumble into your pillow. Let us stay here for a moment, in this pre-dawn quiet. The Sumerian city of or perhaps Nippur, or maybe Lagash, spreads out around you like a sleeping animal. The houses are huddled together, their flat roofs almost touching. The streets are narrow and winding, made for foot traffic, not for carts. There is no glass in the windows, only small openings covered by woven mats that keep out the worst of the wind, but let in the sounds of the night. And above everything, rising like a dark mountain against the fading stars, there is the ziggurat, the temple, the house of the god. It is a stepped tower of baked brick, its sides sloping gently inward, its top crowned with a shrine that glows with a single, eternal flame. That flame is tended by priests who never sleep, men who keep watch over the god's presence through the long hours of darkness. But you are not a priest. You are a scribe. Your work is not with that high holy fire, but with a small, humble lamp of your own. The lamp, when it is finally lit, is a simple thing. It is a shallow bowl of clay, pinched at one end to hold a wick made of twisted flax or wool. The fuel is sesame oil, or perhaps olive oil if the merchants have been generous, and it burns with a small, dim, wavering flame that casts more shadow than light. The flame is yellow and smoky, and it smells of roasted seeds. It is not a lamp that you can read by easily. It is not a lamp that allows you to work quickly. It is a lamp that forces you to lean close, to squint, to let your eyes adjust to the soft orange glow. It is a lamp that demands patience. And in ancient Sumer, patience was not a luxury. It was a necessity, woven into the fabric of every task. Now the hand on your shoulder arrives. It is your father or your uncle or the senior scribe who oversees your training. His voice is low and rough with sleep, but steady. It is time. You open your eyes, and the darkness is now a little less absolute, because a thin line of gray has appeared at the edge of the eastern sky. The lamp is not yet lit. That happens after you wash, after you say a short prayer to Nisaba, the goddess of writing and grain and the scribal art. You pull aside the mat that covers the doorway and step out into the courtyard. The air is cold against your skin, and you shiver. You can hear the sounds of the city beginning to stir. A rooster somewhere, the lowing of a cow, the splash of water as someone draws from a well. You walk to the temple, through streets that are still dark. But now, you can see the shapes of other figures moving in the same direction. They are all scribes. You recognize them by the way they walk, heads down, hands tucked into their robes, carrying their tools in small leather pouches. No one speaks much. The morning silence is a kind of reverence, a shared understanding that the day has not yet begun. The temple gates are open, and a guard nods as you pass. The air inside is cooler, more still. The great inner courtyard is paved with burnt brick, and the walls are decorated with colored tiles and carved stone reliefs showing scenes of gods and kings and battles. But you do not pause to look. You know these images by heart. They are the backdrop of your daily life. You climb a set of stairs, narrow and worn by centuries of feet, and come to a small room that is the scribal workshop. It is called the Edaba, the tablet house. This is where the work of writing happens, away from the public ceremonies of the temple. The room is low-ceilinged, with a small window set high in the wall. It is still too dark to see clearly, but you know the layout. The long wooden table in the center, the shelves of spare clay, the bins of finished tablets, the jars of water and oil. You take your place at the table, and one of the older scribes, a man with a white beard and ink-stained fingers that are nearly black, lights the first lamp. He does it with a flint and a bit of dry tinder, striking a spark into a nest of fibers, then blowing gently until a flame catches. He uses that flame to light the wick of the lamp, and then he hands the lamp to you. The flame is small. It illuminates only a circle of about 2 feet around itself. Everything beyond that is lost in shadow. You set the lamp on the table, and it throws your own looming shadow onto the wall behind you. You take out your stylus, a piece of reed cut to an 8-inch length, sharpened at one end into a wedge shape. You dip the stylus into a small bowl of water, then into a lump of wet clay that has been prepared the night before. The clay is smooth and cool, and it yields to the slightest pressure. You hold the tablet in your left hand, and with your right, you begin to press the stylus into the surface. The strokes are wedge-shaped, triangular, and they combine into the complex signs of cuneiform. But it is difficult. The light is poor. You have to bring your face very close to the clay, so close that you can smell the damp earth of it. Your nose is almost touching the tablet. Your eyes strain. The flame flickers, and the shadows dance, and the lines you are making shift slightly because your hand is not perfectly steady. You are writing a list, or a contract, or a prayer. It does not matter what it is. The act of writing itself is the thing. Every sign must be clear. Every wedge must be pressed at the correct angle, or the meaning will be lost. A missed stroke could turn a word for sheep into a word for flood, and that could cause real problems. You take a deep breath, and you slow down. You cannot hurry. The lamp will not let you hurry. This is the reality of being a scribe in Sumer in the 3rd millennium BC, around 4,000 years ago. The world of clay tablets and reed styluses, of oil lamps and early mornings, is so far from our own that it feels almost like a dream. And yet, these scribes were the ones who invented writing itself. They were the first people in human history to look at the world and think, I can capture this. I can make a mark that will outlast my voice. They took the messy, fluid world of spoken words, and they pinned it down in a medium that was solid and permanent. When the sun finally rose over the city of a scribe named Lugal, or En, or Dumuzi, had already written a dozen lines onto a tablet, and those lines would still be read 4 millennia later by you, here in the quiet of this room. Let us pause. The lamp is still burning, but the flame is beginning to smoke, and the wick needs trimming. The senior scribe reaches over and snips it with a pair of copper tweezers. The flame flares up again, then settles. You stretch your fingers. They are cramped from gripping the stylus. Outside, the sky is turning from gray to a pale, watery blue. The first true light of dawn is seeping in through the high window. You do not stop working. You keep writing. But now you can see a little better. The shadows are less harsh, and the clay tablet seems to glow in the morning light. You are alone in the room with a few other scribes, and it is so quiet that you can hear the scratch of their styluses on clay, a steady, rhythmic whisper. The oil lamp, you realize, is not just a tool. It is a companion. It has been with you through the darkest hours. It has watched over your work. And when you finally set down your stylus and the sun is fully risen, you will blow it out with a soft breath, and the smell of burnt oil will linger in the room for the rest of the day. That smell is the smell of the scribal life. It is the smell of labor, of devotion, of words carved into damp earth. It is the smell of history being made, one slow wedge at a time. Now, as you sit there in that ancient room, consider the strangeness of what you are doing. You are writing in a language that no one has spoken for thousands of years. Sumerian is a language isolate, meaning it has no known relatives. It sounds nothing like the languages that surround it today. When you read the signs aloud, the sounds are strange, guttural, clipped, full of glottal stops and long vowels. The word for scribe, for instance, is dubsar. It is a compound of dub, meaning tablet, and sar, meaning to write, dubsar. It has a sharp, almost percussive quality. When the scribe of old introduced himself, he might say, I am dubsar. I am a tablet writer. And he would say it with pride, because the ability to write was a rare and powerful skill. In a world where almost no one could read or write, the scribe held a unique position. He was the keeper of records, the maker of contracts, the writer of letters, the composer of hymns. He was the one who could speak to the gods through inscribed prayers, and the one who could write a king's decree. He was, in a sense, the memory of the civilization. If a man wanted to buy a field, he went to a scribe. If a woman wanted to divorce her husband, she went to a scribe. If a farmer wanted to record the number of goats in his flock, he went to a scribe. And that scribe would light his oil lamp early in the morning, before the sun had fully risen, and he would press his stylus into clay, and he would make the farmer's transaction reel. But it was not just practical work. The scribes also wrote poetry. They wrote love songs and laments. They wrote about the great flood that came before history, and about the hero Gilgamesh who sought immortality. Some of the most beautiful lines of ancient literature were written by scribes like the one sitting next to you right now, his face illuminated by the flickering lamp. He is composing a hymn to the goddess Inanna, and his lips move silently as he writes. The words are full of longing and praise. He writes, Lady of the heavens, Lady of the morning star, you who shine like the dawn. And he knows that those words will be read in the temple, sung by priests, recited at festivals. The lamp burns low, and he does not notice the time passing. You are learning this craft. You are still an apprentice. Your hand is not yet steady. You make mistakes. You press too hard, and the stylus gouges the clay. You press too lightly, and the wedge is faint and unclear. The senior scribe looks over your shoulder and grunts. He points to a sign you have made, and he shakes his head. The sign for God, Dingir, is a star shape, but you have made it lopsided, and it looks more like a mountain. He takes your stylus and demonstrates. He presses the wedge into the clay with a firm, confident motion. The star is perfect. He hands the stylus back to you, and you try again. This time it is a little better. The lamp flickers, and you lean in closer. The hours pass. The sun climbs higher, and the light in the room becomes stronger. The lamp is no longer necessary, but the senior scribe does not extinguish it. He leaves it burning, a small, steady presence in the corner of the room. It is a reminder of the darkness from which the words have emerged. You hear the sounds of the temple coming to life, footsteps, voices, the ringing of a bell. A priest passes the doorway, his robes rustling. He nods at the scribes, acknowledging their work. You are part of the temple machinery now. You are a small, invisible gear in the great engine of the gods. But let us not get lost in the grand narrative. Let us return to the small things. Let us think about the oil lamp itself. It is a humble object. It is made of clay, fired in a kiln, and it costs very little. It is the kind of lamp that every household owns. But in the hands of a scribe, it becomes something more. it becomes a source of light for the mind. And the mind, too, needs to be lit. When you sit in the darkness, with only a small flame to guide you, your thoughts become quieter. You cannot be distracted by the world outside. You are forced to focus. The lamp creates a pocket of intimacy, a small, warm space where the only thing that matters is the clay and the stylus and the words. This is why the scribes worked before dawn. It was not just that the daylight was limited. It was that the darkness itself was conducive to concentration. The world was asleep. The gods were still dreaming. And in that liminal space between night and day, the scribe could touch something deeper. He could let the words flow from his mind through his fingers and into the clay. He could feel the language taking shape, becoming solid. It was a private act, a secret act, shared only with the lamp and the tablet. And when the work was done, when the tablet was covered in neat rows of cuneiform, the scribe would set it aside to dry in the sun. He would wash his hands, and the ink would stubbornly remain in the lines of his palms. He would eat a piece of barley bread and drink a cup of beer. He would talk with the other scribes about the news of the city, about the price of copper, about the new temple that was being built. But his mind would still be on the words he had written. He would go over them in his head, checking for errors, hoping that the gods would accept his work. There is a certain melancholy to this life. It is a life of repetition. Every day, the same routine. Rise in the dark, light the lamp, write until the sun is high. Day after day, year after year. But there is also a deep satisfaction. The scribe knows that his work matters. He is not just writing for the day. He is writing for the ages. The clay he works with will last. It will survive fires, floods, wars, and the slow decay of empires. Thousands of years later, people will dig up his tablets and read his words. He will be heard across the centuries. That is a power that few people have ever possessed. And so, as you sit there in that ancient room, feeling the weight of the stylus in your hand, you are connected to a long chain of scribes who came before you. You are part of a tradition that stretches back to the very first marks made on clay, to the first time a human being realized that a picture could stand for a word, and a word could stand for a thing. It is a tradition that will continue long after you are gone, long after the city of has fallen into ruin, and the ziggurat has crumbled into dust. But in this moment, in the quiet of the dawn, the lamp is lit, and you are writing. Let us stay in this moment a little longer. The flame of the lamp is low now, and the oil is almost gone. The senior scribe brings a small clay flask and pours a thin stream of fresh oil into the lamp bowl. He adjusts the wick, and the flame brightens. He does not speak. He does not need to. The action is familiar, a ritual performed 1,000 times. You watch his hands, gnarled and stained, and you think about how many tablets he has written, how many words he has pressed into clay. He is old now, and his eyes are weak. He has to hold the tablet very close to his face to read it. But he does not complain. He continues to work, driven by a sense of duty that is as natural as breathing. You look down at your own tablet. You have written a list of offerings for the temple. There's a list of barley, a list of beer, a list of sheep. It is not the most exciting text. It is the kind of record that is essential but unglamorous. Yet even this mundane list has a kind of poetry. The signs are beautiful in their precision. The wedges are arranged in neat rows, like birds on a wire. The numbers are recorded with a system of different sized circles and arcs that represent units of 10, 60, and 360. It is a mathematical language, a second code hidden within the writing. And you have learned it all. You think about the process of making the clay itself. The clay was dug from the riverbank, sifted to remove stones, and then kneaded with water until it was the right consistency. It was shaped into tablets of various sizes, from tiny ones small enough to hold in your palm to large ones that needed 2 hands to carry. The tablets were then allowed to dry slightly until they were leather hard, firm enough to hold an impression, but soft enough to take a mark. That was the perfect moment for writing. If the clay was too wet, the marks would blur. If it was too dry, the stylus would crack the surface. The scribe had to feel the clay to judge its condition by touch. It was an art as much as a skill. And the ink, there was no ink. The marks were made directly into the clay. The stylus pressed a wedge-shaped trench, and the displaced clay formed a ridge at the end of the stroke. The finished text was not black or white. It was a pattern of light and shadow, visible only because the lamp or the sun cast a pale light across the surface. It was a subtle, almost ghostly form of writing. To read it, you had to tilt the tablet this way and that, catching the light so that the wedges became clear. It required patience. It required a kind of quiet, slow attention that is rare in modern life. The senior scribe clears his throat. It is time for the morning meal. You set down your stylus and stand, stretching. Your back is stiff from leaning over the table. Your eyes ache, but you feel a small glow of satisfaction. You have written a good tablet today. The signs are clean, the spacing even. Your teacher might not say anything, but you know he noticed. He gives you a small nod, and that is enough. You follow him out of the room, down the stairs, and into the courtyard where the sun is now warm on your face. But the lamp remains on the table. It is still burning, a tiny sentinel of flame in an empty room. The oil is low. The wick is black with carbon, but it will continue to burn for a few more minutes before it sputters out. And when it dies, the room will be silent and dark again, waiting for the next dawn, the next scribe, the next word. The lamp is patient. It has been waiting for thousands of years. It will wait a little longer. You follow the senior scribe into the courtyard, and the warmth of the sun is a welcome change. The air smells of dust and bread and the river. A few other scribes are already gathered, sitting on low stone benches, eating from small bowls. They talk quietly among themselves, their voices low and unhurried. You find a spot in the shade and sit down. A young boy brings you a bowl of barley porridge. It is thick and warm, with a hint of date syrup stirred in. You eat slowly, savoring the sweetness. The boy also brings a cup of beer, and you drink it in small sips. The beer is thick and cloudy, more like a porridge than a drink, but it is nourishing. It is the drink of the common people, and it tastes of the earth. The senior scribe sits across from you, eating his own porridge with the same slow, deliberate motions. He does not look at you directly, but you feel his presence. He is a man of few words, but his silence is not cold. It is the silence of a teacher who expects you to learn by watching. And so you watch. You watch the way he holds his bowl, the way he tears his bread, the way he chews each bite with a kind of focused attention. He is not a man who rushes. He has been doing this for 40 years, and he knows that everything takes the time it takes. You finish your meal and set the bowl aside. Another boy collects it, and you are left with nothing to do but sit in the sun. The courtyard is filling with light now. The shadow of the ziggurat has shortened, and the air is growing warm. You feel a pleasant drowsiness creeping over you. The early morning work has made you tired, but it is a good tired, the kind that comes from concentration and effort. The senior scribe stands and gestures for you to follow. You walk back into the building through a series of narrow corridors until you reach another room. This one is larger than the one you worked in earlier. It is lined with shelves, and on those shelves are hundreds of tablets. They are stacked in neat piles, some small and some large. The room smells of dry clay and dust. It is the temple library, the place where all the records are stored. The senior scribe takes a tablet from a shelf and holds it up to the light. He turns it slowly, examining the signs. He mutters something under his breath, then hands it to you. You take it carefully. The clay is smooth and cool. The signs are small and precise, written in a hand that is not your own. You recognize some of the words. It is a list of temple offerings from the reign of a king who died 100 years ago. You read the list slowly, sounding out the signs in your mind. Barley, beer, sheep, goats, oil, dates. The same things are offered again and again. The same rituals, the same repetitions. You wonder what the king was like, the one who ordered these offerings. Did he believe in the gods? Did he fear them? Or was it just a political gesture, a way to show his power and wealth? You will never know. The tablets do not record the thoughts of kings. They record the things that were given and the things that were received. The senior scribe takes the tablet back and returns it to its place on the shelf. He walks to another section of the room and pulls out a different tablet. This one is larger, covered in writing on both sides. He hands it to you, and you see that it is a legal document. It records the sale of a field between two men. Their names are given, along with the location of the field, its size, and the price. There are witnesses listed at the bottom, their names impressed with their own seals. You read the document carefully. The language is formulaic, full of phrases that you have seen before. The seller swears by the gods that he is the true owner. The buyer promises to pay the price in silver. The witnesses confirm that the transaction was made in their presence. It is a legal contract designed to prevent disputes. It is a record of trust and obligation. You think about the two men, the seller and the buyer. They were real people with real lives. They might have stood in this very courtyard, perhaps. They might have argued over the price or shaken hands when the deal was done. And now their names are written on a piece of clay, preserved for millennia. The senior scribe watches you read, his eyes following your finger as you trace the signs. When you reach the end, he takes the tablet and holds it up to the light again. He points to a small mark in the corner. It is a seal impression, a design carved into a small stone cylinder. The cylinder was rolled across the clay, leaving a repeating pattern of figures and symbols. It was the owner's signature, his mark of identity. You have a seal of your own. It was given to you when you first became a scribe. It is a small cylinder of lapis lazuli, carved with a scene of a priest standing before a god. When you roll it across the clay, it leaves a tiny picture that identifies you. It is your mark, your signature, your presence made permanent. You take it out of the pouch at your belt and look at it. The stone is dark blue, almost black, with flecks of gold. It is smooth and cool in your hand. You think about all the times you have used this seal. You have pressed it into clay contracts, into letters, into lists. Each time you left a piece of yourself behind. Your seal is you, in a sense. It is your authority, your standing in the community. Without it, your words would have no weight. The seal is the proof that you are a scribe, that you have been trained, that you are trusted. The senior scribe returns the tablet to its shelf and leads you out of the library. You walk down a corridor and into a large hall where a group of young scribes is gathered. They are sitting on the floor, copying out texts from a large tablet that is propped up on a stand. The teacher is a young man, barely older than you. He walks among the students, looking at their work, making corrections. He is strict, but not cruel. He expects a certain standard, and he does not hesitate to point out mistakes. You remember your own training. You remember the frustration of learning the signs, the hundreds of them, each with its own meaning. You remember the days when you sat in this very hall, struggling to reproduce the shapes of the wedges, your fingers aching, your eyes blurring. You remember the shame of mistakes, the constant corrections, the feeling that you would never be good enough. But you also remember the breakthrough, the moment when the signs began to make sense, when the language opened up and you could read. It was like a door opening in your mind. The senior scribe leaves you in the hall and walks away. You stand at the back, watching the young scribes work. They are children, most of them, no older than 12 or 13. Their faces are serious, their tongues poking out as they concentrate. They are learning the trade, the craft, the art. They are being shaped into scribes, just as you were shaped. One of the students looks up and catches your eye. He is a boy of about 10, thin and dark-haired. He looks nervous, as if he is afraid of being caught not paying attention. You nod at him slightly, a small gesture of encouragement. He looks down at his tablet and continues writing. You think about the future of these children. They will become scribes, and they will spend their lives in these rooms, writing by lamplight. They will produce thousands of tablets, recording the business of the temple and the city. They will write down the prayers and the myths, the lists and the contracts. They will be the keepers of the collective memory, and when they die, their work will remain. But you also think about the children who will never become scribes, the ones who work in the fields, who haul water, who build walls, the ones who will never learn to read or write. Their lives are just as important, just as full of meaning, but they leave no trace. They are forgotten, erased by time. The scribes are the ones who remember, and that is a heavy responsibility. You leave the hall and wander through the temple complex. You pass the kitchens, where the smell of cooking makes your mouth water. You pass the storerooms, where grain and oil and beer are kept in large clay jars. You pass the workshops, where craftsmen make tools and jewelry and statues. The temple is a small city, a world unto itself. You find a quiet courtyard near the edge of the complex. There is a tree there, an old date palm, its trunk covered in the marks of climbing. You sit down at the base of the tree and lean against it. The sun is high now, and the air is warm. You close your eyes and listen to the sounds around you. The buzz of flies, the song of a bird, the distant murmur of voices. You drift into a kind of half-sleep, a state of drowsy awareness. Your mind wanders. You think about the lamp again, the one you used this morning. You imagine it still burning, the flame steady and persistent. You think about the wick, the way it slowly turns to ash. You think about the oil, the way it is consumed, transformed into light and heat, and a faint smell of smoke. The lamp is a lesson in transience. Everything that is will one day be no more. The oil will be spent, the wick will crumble, the clay will break. The flame will go out, and the darkness will return. But while it burns, the lamp gives light. It allows work to be done. It allows words to be written. And those words will outlast the lamp, outlast the oil, outlast the scribe. You open your eyes. The courtyard is still. The shadow of the tree has shifted. A small lizard runs across the wall, its feet making a soft, scuttling sound. You stand up and stretch. You feel rested, but also melancholic. The weight of the past is pressing on you. It is the weight of all those tablets, all those words, all those lives. You walk back to the main building. The senior scribe is in the library, sorting through a pile of new tablets. He looks up when you enter and hands you a small tablet. It is a letter written to the governor of a neighboring city. The words are formal, the lines carefully composed. You read it aloud, your voice steady and clear. The senior scribe nods. He takes the tablet and places it in a leather pouch. He will give it to a messenger who will carry it to its destination. The letter will travel for days, passing through towns and villages, crossing rivers and deserts. It will be read by the governor, who will write a reply. And that reply will be brought back, and it will be filed away in the library, adding another layer to the accumulated record. You think about the message in the letter. It is about a shipment of copper. The temple needs copper for making tools and weapons. The governor has promised to send it. The letter confirms the arrangement. It is a simple transaction, the kind that happens every day. But without the letter, the transaction might never happen. The word is the foundation of civilization. It is the thing that allows people to coordinate, to trade, to trust. You spend the rest of the day in the library, helping the senior scribe organize the tablets. You arrange them by date, by subject, by king. It is tedious work, but it is also calming. There is a rhythm to it, a gentle, repetitive motion that settles the mind. You pick up a tablet, read the first line, find its proper place, set it down. Pick up another, read, place. It is like a meditation. The sun begins to sink, and the light in the library grows dim. The senior scribe lights a lamp, the same kind of lamp you used this morning. The flame flickers, casting shadows across the walls. You continue working, your movements slow and careful in the low light. When the last tablet is in its place, you step back and look at the shelves. They are neat now, row after row of clay, each one holding a piece of the past. You feel a sense of satisfaction. The world is a little more orderly than it was this morning. The senior scribe blows out the lamp, and the room falls into darkness. You feel your way to the door, your hands brushing against the shelves, your feet shuffling across the floor. The senior scribe is ahead of you, his footsteps a steady guide. Outside, the sky is a deep blue, and the first stars are appearing. The air is cool, and you shiver slightly. You walk together to the temple gate, where the senior scribe says a brief prayer. He thanks the gods for the work of the day, for the light of the lamp, for the words that were written. Then you part ways. He goes to his house, and you go to yours. Your house is small, a single room with a bed and a table. Your wife is already asleep. You lie down and close your eyes. You think about the lamplight. You think about the way it filled the room, pushing back the darkness. You think about the words it revealed. And you think about all the scribes who have done this before you, generation after generation, century after century. You are part of a lineage, a chain of light and clay and words. You drift into sleep, the sound of the river in your ears. And in your dreams, you are still writing. You are pressing wedges into clay, shaping the signs, building a world of words. The lamp is beside you, and it never goes out. You stir slightly in your sleep, the dream of the eternal lamp flickering at the edges of your consciousness. The sound of the river is there, a constant companion, a soft murmur that weaves through your rest. You half hear it, half feel it, like the distant pulse of the world itself. And then, slowly, the dream fades, and you become aware of the real lamp on your bedside table, its flame low, almost out. The oil is nearly gone. You sit up, blinking in the dim light. The room is cool, the air still. Your wife is still sleeping, her breathing slow and even. You look at the lamp for a long moment, watching the tiny flame dance. It is a fragile thing, a small star in the dark. You remember the dream, the feeling of writing endlessly, the flame that never died. But this is reality. This flame will go out. You need to refill the lamp. You get out of bed, your feet touching the cold clay floor. You find the jar of oil and carefully pour it into the lamp, filling it to the brim. You trim the wick with a small knife, your hands moving with the practiced ease of someone who has done this 1,000 times. You light it again, and the flame leaps up, brighter now, more confident. The room fills with a warm glow. You sit back on the edge of the bed, watching the flame. There is something meditative about it, something calming. The way it moves, never still, but always contained. The way it consumes the oil, transforming it into light. You think about the priests, who say that the flame is a gift from the gods, a symbol of divine presence. Maybe it is. Maybe it is something more ordinary. Either way, it is essential. You decide to walk to the temple early, before the sun rises. You want to experience the pre-dawn ritual, the lighting of the lamps, the beginning of the day's work. You put on your clothes, a simple tunic and a woolen cloak. You slip out of the house, leaving your wife to sleep. The streets are empty. The air is cold and still. Your breath makes small clouds in the darkness. The stars are bright overhead, thousands of them, scattered across the sky like grains of sand. You walk slowly, your footsteps echoing off the walls of the houses. The city is asleep, but you can feel it stirring. A dog barks in the distance. A baby cries. The world is waking up. You reach the temple gate. A guard is there, leaning on his spear. He nods at you, recognizing you. You pass through and enter the complex. The courtyard is empty, the great doors of the inner sanctuary still closed. You walk to the scribal hall, your footsteps quiet on the stone. Hall is dark. You light a lamp from the one you carried, and the room takes shape around you. The shelves, the tables, the tablets, everything is in its place. You set the lamp on the table and sit down. The light pools around you, leaving the corners of the room in shadow. You take a lump of clay and begin to knead it, warming it, making it pliable. The texture is smooth and cool. You shape it into a small, flat rectangle, about the size of your hand. You smooth the surface with a wet stone, making it even. You set it aside and prepare your stylus, checking the tip to make sure it is sharp. You are waiting for the other scribes to arrive. You enjoy this quiet time, the stillness before the work begins. It is a moment of anticipation, of potential. The tablet is blank. The words are waiting to be written. Anything is possible. You hear footsteps in the corridor. The senior scribe enters, carrying a lamp. He nods at you, a brief greeting. He takes his seat at the head of the table and prepares his own clay. The two of you work in silence, the only sound the scratching of styluses on clay. It is a comfortable silence, the silence of shared purpose. Other scribes arrive one by one. They light their lamps, prepare their clay, and begin to write. The room fills with soft light and the quiet rhythm of work. The language of the scribes, the language of the signs, takes over. It is a world of symbols, of wedges and lines, a world that only the initiated can read. You think about the training you received. It was long and difficult, years of memorization and repetition. You learned hundreds of signs, each one representing a word or a syllable. You learned the grammar, the syntax, the rules of composition. You learned to write on clay, to form the wedges with precision, to control the pressure so that the signs were clear and legible. You remember your first teacher, an old man with a kind face and a patient voice. He taught you the importance of a clean surface, a sharp stylus, a steady hand. He taught you the rhythm of writing, the way the stylus should move across the clay. He taught you to see the signs not just as marks, but as living things. One day, when you were still a student, you made a mistake. You wrote a sign incorrectly, carving the wrong wedges into the clay. You were frustrated, angry with yourself. You tried to fix it, but the clay had already dried. The tablet was ruined. Your teacher looked at it, then looked at you. He did not scold you. Instead, he said, "The clay remembers. Every mark you make becomes part of it. You cannot undo it. You can only learn from it and do better next time." You never forgot that lesson. It taught you to be careful, to be deliberate, to treat each tablet with respect. You became a better scribe because of it. Now, as you work in the quiet of the scribal hall, you appreciate that lesson even more. The clay does remember. It holds the words, the thoughts, the transactions of countless individuals. It is a memory that spans generations. The morning light begins to filter through the high windows. The lamps are still burning, but they seem dimmer now. The sun is rising, and the world is brightening. You work for a while longer, then set down your stylus. The tablet is finished. It is a list of offerings for the temple, a record of what was given and who gave it. You take the tablet to the kiln, where it will be baked, hardened into permanence. It will be stored in the library, a piece of the eternal archive. You walk back to the scribal hall, but you do not start a new tablet. Instead, you sit and watch the other scribes at work. They are focused, their eyes fixed on their clay. One of them, a young woman with long braids, hums softly as she works. Her stylus moves gracefully, effortlessly. You wonder about her story. You wonder how she became a scribe, what she dreams about, what fears she carries. You wonder if she, like you, sometimes feels overwhelmed by the weight of the words she writes. A senior scribe, a man named Enki, notices you watching. He walks over and sits beside you. He is old, his hands gnarled from years of holding a stylus, but his eyes are clear, his voice steady. You look tired, he says. I am tired, you admit. It is the weight, he says. The weight of all these words, it presses on you. I have felt it for decades. Is it always like this, you ask? It becomes easier, he says. Or maybe you become harder, I don't know which, but you learn to carry it. You nod. You appreciate his honesty. He gestures toward the young woman. She is talented. She will go far, but she will also feel the weight. It comes with the craft. You both fall silent, watching her work. The humming continues, a gentle melody that fills the room. Enki stands up and walks back to his table. He picks up his stylus and begins a new tablet. You do the same. The rhythm of the work takes over again. By midday, the scribal hall is bustling. Scribes come and go, bringing new tablets, taking away finished ones. The air smells of clay and lamp oil and sweat. It is a busy, productive environment. You look at the tablet in front of you. It is a copy of a royal decree, a proclamation from the king. The words are formal, impressive. They speak of the king's conquests, his building projects, his dedication to the gods. You copy them carefully, making sure every sign is perfect. As you write, you think about the original decree. It was carved into a stone monument, placed in the temple courtyard for everyone to see. But most people cannot read. They see the signs, but they do not understand them. The monument is for the gods and for the scribes. It is a reminder of the king's power, but it is also a prayer, a request for divine favor. The king is far away in his palace, but his words are here. They travel across the city, across the land, carried by scribes like you. You finish the copy and hand it to a supervisor. He checks it carefully, line by line. He nods approvingly. It is accurate. You feel a small sense of pride. The day wears on. You work on several more tablets, each one different. A contract for the sale of a field. A list of workers for a new building project. a letter to a merchant in a distant city. Each tablet is a piece of a larger puzzle, a part of the intricate network of commerce and governance that keeps the city alive. Between tablets, you take breaks. You walk around the temple complex, stretching your legs, clearing your mind. You watch the priests at their rituals, the offerings of food and incense. You watch the cooks preparing meals for the gods, the fragrant smells drifting through the halls. You watch the guards standing at attention, their eyes scanning for intruders. Everything is ordered, structured, meaningful. The temple is a microcosm of the world, a place where everything has its proper place. As the afternoon wanes, you return to the scribal hall. The light is golden, slanting through the windows. The lamps are lit again, their flames pale against the fading sun. You take a seat and begin a tablet that has been waiting for you. It is a list of the temple's holdings, a census of fields and flocks, of silver and grain. It is a long tablet requiring careful attention. You work slowly, methodically, making sure each entry is correct. The numbers are large, the names many. You lose yourself in the work, your mind focused on the signs, the strokes, the patterns. When you look up, the sun has set. The room is dark except for the lamps. The other scribes are packing up, leaving for the day. You stretch, your back aching from hours of hunching over the table. Your fingers are stiff, your eyes tired. But the tablet is done. You place it with the others, ready for the morning. You extinguish your lamp and walk out into the cool night air. The stars are out again, bright and distant. You walk home slowly, your steps echoing in the empty streets. Your wife is waiting for you. She has prepared a simple meal, bread and cheese and beer. You eat in silence, too tired to talk. But it is a comfortable silence, the silence of two people who know each other well. You lie down on the bed, your body sinking into the mattress. The lamp is still burning, a small flame in the darkness. You think about the day, the words you wrote, the tablets you created. You think about the people you interacted with, the conversations you had, the moments of connection. It was a good day, a productive day, a day that added to the accumulated record of the city. You close your eyes and let the sounds of the night wash over you. The river, the dogs, the wind. The world is alive, even in the darkness. You drift into sleep, the rhythm of the day fading into a blur. But in your dreams, you are still writing. You are in the scribal hall, the lamp beside you, the clay beneath your fingers. You are writing a story, a myth, a tale of gods and heroes. The words flow freely, effortlessly. The signs form themselves, beautiful and perfect. You wake briefly, the dream still vivid in your mind. The lamp is burning low. You add more oil, trim the wick, and settle back down. The dream continues. You write about Gilgamesh, the great king who sought immortality. You write about his journey, his struggles, his friendship with Enkidu. You write about the flood, the boat, the survivors. You write about the gods and their plans, their loves, their jealousies. The story unfolds beneath your hands, a tapestry of words. And in the dream, you realize that this is what it is for. This is what the words are for. They carry the stories, the memories, the dreams of the people. They preserve them against the erosion of time. You wake again, this time fully. The dream lingers, a shimmering afterimage. You sit up and look around. The room is dim, the lamp burning steadily. Your wife sleeps beside you, her breath soft. You get up and walk to the window. The stars are out, scattered across the sky. You think about the story you were writing in your dream. It felt ancient, powerful. It felt like something you were meant to write, but you cannot write it in clay. The clay is for records, for lists, for contracts. The myths are written on stone, on papyrus, on the walls of temples. They are preserved differently, yet the urge remains. The desire to tell the story, to capture it in words. You go back to bed and lie down. You close your eyes and try to recapture the dream. But it is gone, fading like morning mist. You sleep deeply without dreams. In the morning, you wake to the sound of birdsong. The sun is rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. You get up and prepare for another day. You walk to the temple, the familiar path. The streets are busy now, filled with people going about their business. Merchants set up their stalls, children run and play, women carry water jars on their heads. The city is awake. You reach the scribal hall and light your lamp. The flame jumps to life, casting shadows. You prepare your clay, your stylus, your mind. The work begins. Another day, another tablet, another set of words. But today, you feel different. The dream has left a mark. You want to write something more, something beyond the ordinary. You pick up the stylus and begin a different kind of tablet. A letter, but not a business letter. A letter to a friend, a personal message. You write about your thoughts, your feelings, the dream you had. You describe the story of Gilgamesh that came to you in sleep. The words flow easily, naturally. The clay accepts them. When you finish, you look at the tablet. It is a small thing, barely a dozen lines, but it means something. It is a piece of you. You set it aside, unsure what to do with it. But the senior scribe sees it. He picks it up and reads it. He looks at you, his expression unreadable. He says, "This is good. This is real writing. Write more like this." You nod, a small sense of validation filling you. He hands the tablet back to you. Keep it. It is yours. You place it carefully on the shelf, next to the other tablets. It is a different kind of record, a personal one. But it belongs here, in the library of the temple, among the words of the scribes. You feel something shift inside you. The weight of the words becomes a little lighter, a little more bearable. You are not just a recorder of transactions. You are a creator, a storyteller, a bearer of the craft. The day continues, but you carry the feeling with you. It shapes your work, your interactions, your view of the world. When evening comes, you walk home under the stars. The sky is clear, the air cool. You feel a sense of peace, a sense of belonging. You light the lamp in your house and sit for a while, thinking. The flame flickers, casting dancing shadows on the walls. You take out the personal tablet, the one you wrote this morning. You read it again, the words you wrote. They are yours, a part of you, preserved in clay. You add a few more lines, describing the way the flame looks tonight, the way the shadows move. It is a small addition, but it feels right. You place the tablet back on the shelf. The world is full of words. You have added yours. And in the quiet of the night, with the lamp burning softly, you feel at home. You drift into sleep, the river's song filling your ears. And in your dreams, you are still writing, still shaping the clay, still telling the stories that need to be told. The words flow, endless and beautiful, and the lamp never goes out. And perhaps that is the most important thing to understand about the scribe's life. The lamp never goes out. Not really. Not in the way that matters. You lie there in the darkness of your home, the sound of the river, a constant companion, and you think about the generations of scribes who came before you. You think about the ones who will come after. The lamp that burns beside you now is the same lamp that burned for your teacher, and for his teacher before him, stretching back into a time so distant it feels like myth. The oil is different, perhaps. The wick is new, but the flame is the same. It is the flame of knowledge, of memory, of the written word, and it passes from hand to hand, from generation to generation, never truly extinguished. You think about your own teacher, the old man who taught you the signs, who guided your hand, who corrected your mistakes with patient sighs. You remember the way he would hold the stylus, his fingers gnarled, his eyes sharp despite his age. He had a way of looking at a tablet and seeing the words beneath the words, the meaning behind the symbols. He taught you that writing is not just about the signs. It is about the spaces between them. It is about the rhythm of the sentence, the weight of the phrase. It is about knowing when to be precise and when to be poetic. He taught you that a list of barley deliveries is not just a list. It is a story of the harvest, of the farmers who grew the grain, of the oxen that pulled the plows, of the fields that drank the rain. Every number is a person, a place, a moment in time. You think about him now, and you wonder if he ever had dreams like yours, if he ever woke with the feeling that he was meant to write something more. You suspect he did. All scribes have that feeling at some point. It is the burden of the craft. The words are always there, pressing against the inside of your mind, waiting to be released. But not all words can be written. Not all stories can be told in clay. Some are too big. Some are too small. Some are meant to be spoken, not written. Some are meant to be forgotten. And that is the hardest lesson of all, learning what to let go. You turn over in bed, pulling the blanket up to your chin. The night is cool, the air carrying the scent of the river and the distant smoke of cooking fires. Your wife stirs beside you, murmuring something in her sleep. You reach out and touch her arm gently, and she settles again. You close your eyes and let your mind drift. You think about the personal tablet you wrote today, the one with your thoughts and feelings, the one with the story of Gilgamesh from your dream. It feels strange to have such a thing, a record of your inner life. Most scribes do not write such tablets. They are not part of the formal record. They are not needed for the temple's work. But your senior scribe told you to write more like it. He said it was real writing. You wonder what that means. What is real writing and what is not? Is a list of fields less real than a story of gods? Is a contract less true than a myth? You think the answer is more complicated. Every word has its place. Every tablet has its purpose. The list of fields feeds the city. The contract ensures justice. The myth teaches the people about the world. They are all part of the same fabric. But the personal tablet, the one that comes from inside you, that is something else. It is the scribe's own voice, separate from the voice of the temple, separate from the voice of the king. It is a small piece of individuality in a world that values order and predictability. You wonder if your tablet will survive. You wonder if someone will find it centuries from now and read your words. You wonder if they will understand what you meant, or if they will misunderstand entirely. It does not matter. The act of writing it was enough. The words were brought into being, and that is what matters. You drift deeper into sleep, the thoughts becoming softer, more diffuse. And in the morning, you wake to the sound of the temple bell. It is a low, resonant tone that carries through the city, calling the priests to the morning prayers. You rise and dress, your movements automatic. The lamp is still burning, the flame steady. You pour water into a basin and wash your face. The water is cold, refreshing. You feel the last traces of sleep leave you. You eat a simple breakfast, bread and a piece of dried fish. You drink a cup of beer, the liquid warm and slightly sour. Your wife is already awake. She hands you your lunch, wrapped in a cloth. She looks at you with a quiet understanding. She knows the weight you carry. You smile and take the lunch. You step out into the dawn. The streets are quiet, the air fresh. The sun is just beginning to edge over the horizon, casting long shadows. You walk to the temple, your steps measured. The temple rises before you, massive and ancient. The walls are painted with scenes of gods and kings, their colors faded but still visible. The gate is open, and you pass through. The scribal hall is empty when you arrive. You are the first, as you often are. You light your lamp, the flame jumping to life. You prepare your clay, your stylus, your mind. You sit and wait, letting the silence settle around you. The other scribes arrive one by one, their footsteps soft. They nod to you, and you nod back. There is a comfort in the routine, the familiar faces, the familiar tasks. The senior scribe walks in, and the room stills. He looks around, his eyes settling on you. He says, "Continue the census tablet, the one with the fields and flocks." You nod and reach for the tablet you started yesterday. It is still there, waiting for you. You pick up your stylus and begin. The numbers come easily now, the names familiar. The signs flow from your hand, each one a small act of creation. The work is soothing. The rhythm of the writing, the feel of the clay, the soft sound of the stylus moving. The lamp beside you provides a steady light, a warm pool of illumination. You lose yourself in the work, your mind focused. After an hour, a priest enters. He is young, his robes crisp. He carries a scroll, a rare thing. Scrolls are expensive, made from imported papyrus. They are used for important documents, for letters to distant cities, for records that need to be portable. The priest approaches your table. He says, "I need a letter written to the governor of Lagash. It is urgent." You set down your stylus and look at him. You say, "What is it about?" He says, "The harvest, the dates, the trade agreement. It needs to be precise." You nod and take the scroll. The priest dictates, and you write in a neat, careful hand. The ink is black, made from soot and gum. The pen is a reed, sharpened to a fine point. The writing is different from clay, more fluid, more forgiving. The ink spreads slightly as it dries, giving the letters a soft edge. The priest speaks quickly, his words flowing. You keep up, your hand moving across the page. When the letter is done, you read it back to him. He corrects a word here, a phrase there. You make the changes, the ink still wet. He takes the scroll, rolls it carefully, and seals it with a clay bulla. He presses his seal into the clay, leaving an impression of his name and title. He thanks you and leaves. You sit back, stretching your fingers. The scroll was a welcome change, a break from the clay. But the clay is waiting. You return to the census tablet, picking up where you left off. Time passes. The sun climbs higher, the light in the room changing. The shadows shift, the colors fade. At noon, you take a break. You eat the bread and fish your wife packed for you. You drink water from a clay jar. You look out the window at the temple courtyard below. Priests are moving about, their robes bright in the sunlight. A group of children, apprentices, are sitting in a circle, listening to a lesson. The world is alive, ordered, purposeful. You finish your meal and return to work. The afternoon passes quickly. The census tablet is long, but you are making progress. The numbers accumulate, the names multiply. You double-check each entry, ensuring accuracy. By the time the sun begins to set, the tablet is complete. You hold it up, examining it. The signs are clear, the rows straight. It is good work. You place it on the shelf with the others. The lamp beside you flickers, the oil running low. You add more, trim the wick, and watch the flame steady. You look around the room. The other scribes are finishing up, their works complete. The senior scribe is reading a tablet, his lips moving slightly. He looks up and meets your eyes. He gives a small nod of approval. You feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. You pack up your tools, extinguish your lamp, and walk out into the evening. The stars are beginning to appear, faint points of light in the darkening sky. The air is cool, carrying the scent of cooking fires. You walk home, your steps slower than usual. The day was long, but it was good. Your wife is waiting, as always. She has prepared a meal, a stew of vegetables and lamb. The smell fills the house. You sit and eat, the flavors warming you. When you are done, you go outside and sit on the bench in front of your house. The stars are out now, bright and clear. You watch them, thinking about the vastness of the sky, the countless stars, the endless night. You think about your place in it all. A scribe in a city, in a land, on a world, in a universe. A small thing, a brief thing. But the words you write, they will last. They will be read by people you will never meet, in times you will never see. The lamp inside the house flickers, casting a gentle glow through the door. You go back inside and lie down on the bed. The lamp is still burning, a small flame. You close your eyes and let the sound of the river fill your mind. And in the darkness, the words continue to flow. The dreams come again, but this time they are not about Gilgamesh. They are about a scribe, a young man learning the craft. He is sitting in a scribal hall, his lamp burning beside him. He is writing a list of barley deliveries. But as he writes, the signs begin to change. They become something else. They become a story, a myth, a dream. And you are watching him from a distance. You are the dreamer and the dream. You wake briefly, the image still in your mind. You smile in the darkness. You turn over and sleep again. And the next day begins the same way. The lamp is lit, the clay is prepared, the words are written. The routine is a comfort. The rhythm of the days, the seasons, the years, the work is the same, but it is never the same. Each tablet is different. Each word carries its own weight. You think about the future, about all the tablets that will be written, all the words that will be set down. The record of the city, the memory of the people, and you are a part of it. A small part, but a part nonetheless. You write the words, and the world remembers. The lamp burns on. The lamp burns on, and you watch it for a moment, the flame steady in the silence of the house. The oil is low again, but there is enough to last until morning. You reach out and adjust the wick, a habit born from years of tending lamps. The flame flickers, then settles. You lie back, your head resting on the mat. The house is quiet, except for the soft breathing of your wife beside you. Outside, the river continues its endless song, a low murmur that you have heard every night of your life. It is a sound that soothes, that reminds you of the constant flow of time. You think about the day that has passed. The census tablet is complete. The letter to Lagash is written. The words are set. Tomorrow there will be more tablets, more letters, more numbers. The work never ends, but that is not a burden. It is a purpose. You drift into sleep, the lamp still burning. And the next morning comes the same way. The sound of the muezzin, the call to prayer, the first light. You wake, dress, eat, and walk to the temple. The streets are familiar, the face is familiar. The routine is a comfort. But this morning, something is different. As you approach the scribal hall, you see a group of men gathered at the gate. They are not priests, not scribes. They are merchants, their clothing dusty from travel. They are arguing with the gatekeeper, their voices raised. You pause, curious. The gatekeeper shakes his head, pointing toward the city. The merchants persist. One of them holds up a tablet, broken, the edges jagged. You recognize the type of tablet. It is a contract, a record of a sale. A contract that should be kept in the temple archive. You walk closer, and the gatekeeper sees you. He says, "Scribe, these men say they have a legal dispute. Want to see the chief priest?" You look at the merchants. One of them steps forward. He is older, his beard gray, his eyes tired. He says, "We came from Larsa. 3 days of travel. Our contract was broken in a fight. We need a copy. You understand? The original tablet was damaged, and they need a certified copy from the temple records. It is a common request, but usually it is handled by the priests." The merchants are agitated, worried. You say, "I can take you to the chief scribe. He will know what to do." The gatekeeper nods, relieved. He opens the gate, and you lead the merchants into the temple complex. They follow you, their footsteps echoing on the stone. The chief scribe is in his office, reading a tablet. He looks up as you enter. You explain the situation. He listens, his expression neutral. He says, "Bring the contract to me. I will have a copy made." The merchant hands over the broken tablet. The chief scribe examines it, his fingers tracing the damaged signs. He says, "This will take some time. The copy must be exact." The merchants wait, their anxiety palpable. You leave them with the chief scribe and go to the scribal hall. The other scribes are already at work. You light your lamp and sit down. The clay is soft, ready. But your mind is on the merchants, on their journey, on the fragile nature of records. A tablet can be broken, a contract can be lost, but the words, if they are written in the archive, can survive. The copies endure. You start a new task, a list of offerings for the temple, grain and oil and wool. The numbers are simple, the work soothing. The lamp beside you burns steadily. An hour passes, then 2. The chief scribe appears at the door. He gestures to you. You follow him to his office. The merchants are gone. On the table lies the new tablet, still damp. The chief scribe says, "I need you to compare the copy with the original. Ensure every sign matches." You sit down and begin the painstaking work. You hold the broken original in one hand, the new tablet in the other. You read each line, compare each sign. The original is damaged in places, but the meaning is clear. The copy is accurate. You report to the chief scribe. He nods. He says, "Good." The merchants left for Larsa. They will return in a week to collect the official seal. You wonder about the dispute. What was the contract about? A sale of land, perhaps, or a loan of silver. It does not matter. The record is preserved, and that is enough. You return to the scribal hall. The morning has turned to midday. The sun is high, the light harsh. You take your break, eat your bread, drink your beer. You look out the window again. The courtyard is busy. A group of young priests are practicing a ritual. Their movements deliberate. They carry a statue of a god, Ishtar perhaps, her face painted and solemn. The statue is small, easily carried, but they treat it with reverence. You think about the gods. They are present in every aspect of life, in the growth of the grain, the flow of the river, the health of the king. You write their names often. You recount their deeds in the myths. But you rarely think about what they mean to you. Perhaps they are like the tablets. They hold the world together. They ensure order. You finish your meal and return to work. The afternoon passes slowly. You work on a second tablet, a list of workers for a new irrigation canal. The names are long, the numbers tedious. You do not rush. Each name must be correct, each number precise. The lamp burns low. You add oil, trim the wick. The flame brightens. A young apprentice approaches your table. He is nervous, his hands trembling. He holds a tablet of his own, a practice piece. He says, "Master, can you look at my signs? I am having trouble with the sign for king." You take the tablet. The sign is there, but it is uneven, the wedges not properly aligned. You show him how to hold the stylus, how to apply pressure. You let him try again on a fresh piece of clay. He watches your hands, his eyes wide. He tries again, and this time the sign is better. Not perfect, but better. You nod. "Practice," you say, "every day." He thanks you and returns to his seat. You watch him for a moment, remembering your own apprenticeship. The same nervousness, the same struggles, the same relief when a sign finally came out right. The routine continues. The days blend together. The seasons change. The river rises and falls. The king dies, and a new king takes the throne. The temple is painted anew, the colors bright. And you sit in the scribal hall, your lamp burning, your stylus moving. You write the census tablets, the contracts, the letters, the myths. You record the harvests, the battles, the festivals. You capture the world in clay. One evening, as you are packing up, the senior scribe calls you over. He is old now, his hands shaky. He says, "Come, sit with me." You sit. He pours 2 cups of beer, offering one to you. You take it, he says. "I have been a scribe for 50 years. I have written thousands of tablets. Some are lost, some are broken, but many remain. They are stored in the archive, in the darkness, waiting." He takes a sip of beer. You wait, he says. "One day I will be gone. The tablets will still be here. They will speak for me. They will speak for all of us." He looks at you. You are young. You will write many more tablets. You will record the deeds of this city, its triumphs and its sorrows. You will be the memory of the people. You feel the weight of his words. You do not know what to say. He finishes his beer. He says, "Go home. Rest. Tomorrow we work." You leave the temple. The stars are out, bright and clear. The air is cool, carrying the scent of the date palms. You walk home slowly, thinking about the senior scribe. 50 years. Thousands of tablets. A life spent in the lamplight. You reach your house. Your wife is waiting. She has kept your dinner warm. You eat, and you tell her about the merchants, the young apprentice, the senior scribe's words. She listens. She understands. Later, you sit outside looking at the stars. The night is deep and vast. You think about the future, about all the tablets you will write. The words will flow. The signs will form. The lamp will burn. You go inside and lie down. The lamp is still burning, a small flame in the darkness. You close your eyes, and the dreams come. They are the same dreams, the dreams of writing, of clay, of words. But tonight, they are different. They are quieter, softer. You dream of a tablet, large and smooth. The surface is empty, waiting. You pick up your stylus. You begin to write. But you do not write numbers or names. You write a story. A story about a scribe, a lamp, a city. A story about the words that endure. You write until the tablet is full. And then you stop. You look at the tablet. The signs are clear, the story complete. You set down the stylus, and the lamp goes out. You wake in the darkness. The lamp in your house has burned out. The oil is gone. The room is still. You feel a moment of panic, a sense of loss. But it passes. You lie there, your eyes open. The silence is complete. You hear nothing, not even the river. You wait. And then, from far away, you hear the first call of a bird. The dawn is coming. You rise and light a new lamp. The flame jumps to life, and you begin another day. The words continue. The new lamp burns steadily on your desk. You sit down, the clay still damp from the night before. The scribal hall is quiet. The other scribes not yet arrived. You have an hour, perhaps 2, before the sun fully rises and the day's noise begins. You pick up your stylus. The morning light is weak, but the lamp fills the space with a warm orange glow. You have a task waiting, a letter. A merchant from has sent a message to his brother in Lagash. The clay tablet arrived yesterday, sealed with the merchant's personal cylinder. You must copy it into the temple's archive, word for word, sign for sign. You break the seal carefully. The tablet is well made, the signs crisp. You read the message once, twice, to understand the tone. It is a family letter, ordinary and precious. The merchant writes of his son's marriage, the health of his wife, the price of copper in He asks his brother to send news of the harvest and to remember him in the prayers at the temple of Ningirsu. You take a fresh tablet, smooth and soft. You begin to copy. The stylus moves in familiar patterns. The sign for son, the sign for wife, the sign for copper, each which must match the original, even the spacing. Your hand is steady. Time passes. The other scribes arrive one by one, their footsteps soft on the stone floor. They light their own lamps, nod to you, and sit down to their own work. The hall fills with the sound of scratching styli, the occasional whisper, the rustle of linen robes. You finish the copy. You set it aside to dry, then take the original and place it in the archive basket. The basket is nearly full. Tomorrow, an apprentice will take the tablets to the drying room, where they will harden in the sun. Then they will be stored in the deep chambers, the dark rooms beneath the temple, where the air is cool and the rats are kept at bay by the temple cats. You stretch your shoulders. The lamp has burned low again. You add oil, trim the wick. The flame brightens, casting your shadow against the wall. A messenger arrives, breathless. He carries a small tablet, no larger than your palm. He says, "Urgent, from the governor's palace." You take the tablet. The message is brief. The king's tax collector will arrive tomorrow. The temple must prepare the records of all grain deliveries for the past season. The governor requests a full accounting by sundown. You nod. You tell the messenger to inform the chief scribe. Then you turn back to your desk. The morning's quiet work will have to wait. You pull out the grain records. They are stored in a wooden chest, the tablets stacked in order of month. You lift the first tablet, dust the surface. The signs are faded but legible. The first month, the barley from the field of Enlil's temple. The second month, the emmer from the field of the king's household. The third month, the wheat from the field of the high priestess. You begin to compile a new tablet, a summary of all the numbers. The work is mechanical, but it requires focus. One mistake, and the tax collector will demand a correction. The governor will be displeased. The temple will lose face. You work through the morning. The sun climbs, the light shifts, the hall grows warmer. The lamp still burns, a constant companion. You forget to eat. An apprentice brings you a cup of water, and you drink it without looking up. By midday, you have a draft summary. You read it aloud to yourself, checking each number against the original tablets. The totals match. You set the draft aside to dry and begin the final copy. The chief scribe comes to your table. He asks, "Is it ready?" You say, "Almost. I am writing the final version." He nods. He says, "Good. The governor's messenger will be here at the 4th hour of the afternoon." You return to your work. Your fingers are tired, but you do not stop. The lamp flickers, and you adjust the wick again. The afternoon passes slowly. The hall grows quiet as the other scribes finish their tasks and leave. You are alone with the lamp and the clay. You finish the final copy. You roll your cylinder seal across the bottom, impressing your name into the soft clay. The tablet is official. You take it to the drying room. Row of tablets lies on the shelves, some still damp, some hardening. You place yours at the end, next to a tablet recording the sale of a donkey. You return to your desk. The lamp is still burning. You sit down, and for a moment you close your eyes. The silence is deep. You think about the day. The letter from the tax records, the morning's quiet copy. each task small, each task necessary. The temple functions because of these small acts. The city endures because of the scribes. You open your eyes. The lamp flame is steady. You take a fresh tablet, one you have been saving for yourself. A piece of clay, perfectly smooth, for a private composition. A poem, perhaps, or a prayer. You are not sure yet. You pick up your stylus. The lamp burns. The clay waits. And you write, not for the temple, not for the governor, but for yourself. A few lines about the river at dusk, the way the light turns the water to copper. A few lines about the birds returning to the marshes. A few lines about the silence of the night. You finish. The tablet is small, barely a handful. You set it aside to dry. It is not for the archive. It is for your own chest at home, among the other private tablets you have written over the years. You blow out the lamp. The hall is dark now, the last light of dusk seeping through the high windows. You gather your things, your stylus, your spare oil, your cylinder seal. You leave the hall and walk through the courtyard. The temple is quiet. The priests have finished the evening rituals. The air smells of incense and the faint salt of the river. The stars are beginning to appear. You walk home. The streets are empty. A dog barks somewhere far away. You pass the baker's house, the brewer's house, the weaver's house. All dark, all silent. You reach your house. Your wife is asleep. You eat the bread and cheese she left for you, and you drink a cup of beer. You sit outside for a while, looking at the stars. The night is vast. The stars are countless. You think about the tablets in the archive, the thousands of words, the thousands of names. They are like the stars, fixed, enduring, but distant. The scribes who wrote them are gone, but the words remain. You go inside. You lie down. The lamp is out. The room is dark. You listen to your wife's breathing, slow and even. You close your eyes, and the dreams come again. But this time, the dream is different. You are not writing, you are reading. You stand in a vast archive, rows upon rows of tablets, stretching into darkness. You hold a tablet in your hands. It is the one you wrote today, the small private tablet. You read the lines you composed, the words about the river and the birds and the night. And you feel a strange peace. The words are true. They are yours. You wake before dawn. The room is still dark. You lie still, not ready to rise. But you hear the same bird from yesterday, the first call, distant and clear. You smile in the darkness. You rise, light the lamp, and begin another day.